Midway's classic Ms. Pac-Man arcade game from 1982 had major popularity among video games during its era. Still, 31 years after its release, it has retained its status as one of the most well-known video games of all time. Due to its immense popularity, it was ported to many home consoles and computers of the 1980s, such as the Atari 2600, Atari 5200, Atari 7800, the Atari 8-bit computer line, Sega Master System, NES, Commodore VIC-20, Commodore 64, and many more. Any electronic device which played games during the 1980s most likely had a version of Ms. Pac-Man. These home versions were great and all, but none matched the original arcade cabinet in all its glory. Arcade machines of the time reigned supreme as far as advanced gaming hardware when compared to home consoles and computers. There was always a drop-off in quality when porting to the home console. After several years, home consoles became able to match and then surpass the graphical quality of the arcade version of Ms. Pac-Man. The Tengen version of Ms. Pac-Man, released on the NES, is essentially as perfect a home version as you can get, excluding more modern-day game system ports such as the one on the Xbox 360. When I was out purchasing my Sega Genesis recently, I noticed that Tengen had also made a version of Ms. Pac-Man on the Sega Genesis.
Now imagine this, I'm sitting there staring at the shelf thinking, oh crap, if the NES version's as good as it is, then the Sega Genesis version, which is on a next-gen console compared to the NES, must be just as good, or if not better, right? I mean, that should be how it works.
In addition to Ms. Pac-Man, I purchased an arcade stick controller with intent to emulate the arcade experience as much as possible. I also bought a pile of other games. When I played Ms. Pac-Man on my Genesis for the first time, I played on the Genesis 6-button pad, which was one of the two controllers packaged with my system, the other being the 3-button pad. Much to my surprise, this version was not just a straight port of the arcade's graphics and sound, but it was an enhanced remake. It retained the levels of the original and added more as well, plus a 2-player mode. This is great, and my friend and I decided to play the 2-player mode, but I found that the control was absolutely awful. My friend, using the 3-button pad, had no issues at all. Well, a little bit, but not much. I was wondering if my 6-button pad was faulty, so I attempted to play with the arcade stick. It had the exact same issues. While the visuals and sound are both huge improvements over the original arcade game, and I commend the developer for this, I just can't get past the bad player control on all the controllers except the original 3-button Genesis pad. I own 4 Genesis controllers, and only one of them is a 3-button pad.
Simply put, this means that having a pleasant 2-player experience is absolutely impossible, for me anyway. And anybody else who only owns 1 or even 0 3-button controllers. These won't work. Surprisingly, these won't work. And neither will these.
Allow me to explain the issue. When one is playing the game, the idea is to have quick, precise control of where Ms. Pac-Man turns. The concept is necessary in order to properly play the game. When using a controller other than the standard 3-button pad, this precise control is not present at all. The directional pad or joystick will simply be unresponsive. It will only allow you to make turns in certain positions. If you were at a 3-way or a 4-way intersection in the game, Ms. Pac-Man 9 times out of 10 will not turn the way you want her to. With the 3-button pad, it's no problem for the most part. If you own the 3-button pad, this is a definite purchase. However, if you only own 6-button controllers, you must avoid this game like the plague. I heard that there is a Super Nintendo version of this remake by Williams, which is essentially the exact same thing. The graphics are identical, the sound, well, I don't know about the sound because Super Nintendo tend to have higher quality sound than Genesis, but the graphics are the same, that much I do know. And all the levels and everything are exactly identical. So if I do buy the system, the Super Nintendo, I will have to play Ms. Pac-Man on it to see how it plays on the actual system with the Super Nintendo controller. Today, Ms. Pac-Man is available on just about every game machine in existence. It's even available for the iPod Touch and the iPhone. In conclusion, this game gets an A if you use the 3-button pad and an F if you use anything else. It's an excellent port and a terrible one at the same time.